What if the problem isn't that you lack willpower? What if the problem is that your brain is doing exactly what a healthy brain is supposed to do, and saving money just happens to be collateral damage? The standard story goes something like this. You know you should save. You know compound interest works. You've probably run the numbers, or at least nodded along when someone else ran them for you. And yet, when the moment comes, the new phone, the dinner out, the thing that costs a little more than it should, the future version of you loses. Again, the explanation most people reach for is self-control, or the lack of it. The popular framing, backed by decades of behavioral economics, is something called temporal discounting, the well-documented human tendency to value rewards that arrive sooner more than rewards that arrive later. Give someone a choice between $50 today and $60 in a month, and a surprising number of people take the 50. The brain in this telling is impatient, short-sighted, wired for the immediate at the expense of the eventual. This framing has real research behind it. Neuroscientists have traced this impatience to dopamine circuits in the striatum, structures deep in the brain associated with anticipating and responding to reward. When something good is imminent, these circuits activate strongly. When the same reward is pushed weeks or months into the future, the signal weakens. The brain quite literally cares less. It's a clean story. Impulsive brain versus rational goals. And it has shaped everything from retirement policy to app design to how financial advisors talk to their clients. The diagnosis: you are the problem. The solution: override yourself. Simple diagram of a brain with the striatum highlighted, surrounded by dollar signs at varying distances. Here is where it gets more complicated. The studies that establish temporal discounting as a measure of financial self-control share a methodological feature that rarely gets discussed outside academic circles. Almost all of them, including highly cited work on striatal sensitivity and delay, use hypothetical choices. Participants in a lab are asked to imagine receiving money at different points in time. They are not actually waiting. They are not actually sacrificing. They are choosing between abstractions. Wifi sigden from we will kun. This matters more than it might seem. The brain regions that activate during imagined future rewards are not identical to those involved in real financial behavior unfolding over months and years. Constructing a vivid mental simulation of your future self receiving money requires memory systems. Specifically, the same episodic memory machinery you use to mentally travel back to a past event. If those memory systems are less engaged, less vivid, the future simply feels further away. Not because you are impulsive, but because the simulation is harder to run. Recent research has made this connection explicit. Studies examining older adults found that the quality of episodic memory, how richly someone can reconstruct past experiences, predicted how steeply they discounted future rewards. The relationship wasn't about impulsivity at all. It was about mental simulation capacity. The future felt further away, in part because it was harder to imagine concretely. One interpretation of this is quietly subversive. What we've been calling a self-control failure may in some cases be a failure of imagination, not moral weakness, not impulsivity, a cognitive limitation in constructing the future as something real enough to compete with the present. And if that's true, the entire framing shifts. You're not overriding a broken impulse. You're trying to make an abstraction feel as real as what's right in front of you. That is a genuinely hard problem. It is not simply a matter of wanting it more. Let's look at what the research actually shows and where it stops. The striatum's role in reward anticipation is well established. Work published in neuroscience literature over the past 15 years has consistently shown that dopamine-rich circuits in the striatum respond to expected rewards, with signal strength varying based on how soon that reward arrives. A 2011 study found age-related differences in striatal delay sensitivity. Older adults showed different neural responses to delayed versus immediate rewards compared to younger adults, but the relationship between this neural signature and actual real-world financial behavior was more ambiguous than the headlines suggested. More recent work, published in 2025, has continued mapping dopamine's role in economic decision-making, describing how the same circuits involved in reward anticipation also modulate risk assessment and the valuation of uncertain outcomes. This isn't a system designed to make you spend money. It's a general-purpose valuation system, one that happens to struggle when the reward is both certain and distant, because certainty and distance pull in opposite directions. A separate line of research points to the prefrontal cortex as the counterweight. Studies have linked prefrontal anticipatory activation to individual differences in impulsivity. People with stronger prefrontal engagement during reward tasks showed lower impulsive behavior. The prefrontal cortex, in this framing, isn't suppressing desire so much as it's extending the time horizon over which desire operates. But here is what the evidence does not prove. It does not establish that these neural patterns are fixed traits. The striatum prefrontal balance is sensitive to context, to stress, to sleep deprivation, to chronic pain. Research on orbitostriatal encoding has found that altered reward processing shows up in chronic pain populations, suggesting the system is not a stable personality feature, but a dynamic state. What looks like impulsivity may, in some cases, reflect a nervous system under load. There's also a stranger corner of this research worth noting. Studies on reward processing in people recovered from anorexia nervosa found that hunger, the most primal motivational signal, failed to activate the normal reward response. The reward system is not simply a dial that goes up when you want something. It can become decoupled from the very states it's supposed to serve. No. The honest summary, the neuroscience of delay discounting, describes a real pattern. The dopamine circuits are real. The striatal sensitivity is real. What remains genuinely uncertain is how well lab-based hypothetical choices predict the messy, months-long, emotionally loaded decisions that constitute actual financial life. The gap between the two is not small. So what does any of this mean for you? Not a prescription, more of a reframe. If the standard story is right, impulsive brain, weak willpower, then the solution is discipline. White-knuckle the good choice. Remove temptation. Set up automatic transfers before you can talk yourself out of them. This advice isn't wrong, exactly, but it starts from a premise that positions you as the obstacle. The neuroscience suggests something different might also be true. The future self that would benefit from your savings today is, to your brain, somewhat unreal. Not because you're selfish, but because constructing a vivid, emotionally present version of that future requires cognitive work that the present moment never has to do. The present is just here, the future has to be built. This may explain why financial advice that makes the future more concrete tends to work better than advice that appeals to abstract benefit. Seeing an age-progressed image of yourself, naming the specific thing you're saving toward, writing a letter from your future self. These aren't gimmicks. They may be compensating for a genuine limitation in how the brain simulates time. There's something else worth sitting with. Some of us carry a financial identity. I'm someone who's bad with money. That was formed under specific circumstances that no longer exist. A period of low income, a chaotic household, a season of genuine scarcity. The label can outlive the reality by years. You may be running old code on a new situation, and it's worth asking, from some imagined vantage point 20 years from now, which of your current financial anxieties will have mattered? Which will be invisible? The urgency the present assigns to its own concerns is not always accurate. The question isn't whether you have enough willpower. It might be, how real does your future feel to you right now? Real distinct toward a distant point of light. Expansive, not ominous to come. Here is the tension that the research doesn't resolve. Even if temporal discounting is partly a failure of imagination rather than a failure of character, the outcome is the same. The future you doesn't get the money. Whether you blame the dopamine circuit, or the episodic memory system, or the vividness of the present moment, the savings account balance is unchanged. And there's a version of this reframe that becomes its own problem, where understanding the mechanism becomes a comfortable reason not to change anything. The neuroscience doesn't excuse the pattern, it just locates it more honestly. What I find genuinely unresolved is this. If the future self feels less real because it's harder to imagine, and we designed financial systems that require decades of sustained motivation toward an abstract goal, are we asking for something the human brain was never particularly built to do? I don't have a clean answer to that. I'm not sure anyone does yet. The research behind this video draws from brain sciences, neuropsychology, brain research, biological psychiatry, frontiers in neuroscience, psychiatry research. Every claim traces to a published source. Full citations are in the description below. If the way this channel thinks about neuroscience resonates with you, subscribing helps this work reach people who'd appreciate it. New videos on the science of mind every week.